Take. So again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grzegorz Nocon. Yes, you spell it correctly, but let's keep the short form. Greg, I'm the software system engineer. At this moment, I would like also to special thanks to our distributor NSS company for the invitation. And let me introduce our MTR solution. But before I will start to talk about the MTR solution, let me start to introduce our Sophos worldwide survey, which we've done with Verizon Board. Is the additional company, and we ask the results which we see from around 5,000 managers from the companies between 100 to 5,000 users, we did the survey and we realized that almost 73% of the cyber criminals succeed. They encrypted the data. Almost 24% stopped the attack before the encryption, and 3% of them, the data were not encrypted, but still victim held the ransomware. The average cost of each single ransom is around 1 million. And as we see the source of infection, mainly we are talking about the file which were downloaded by compromise link or through the email. Of course, we are also talking about the remote attacks, but what's very important, especially these days when we are talking about the COVID situation, we are talking also about the misconfiguration of the cloud. So we have to take care, really, we have to take care for the environment, and we have to take care sometimes instead of the customers for the environment. And what's important, not only we have similar observation, probably most of you overlook the latest ENISA threat landscape report. ENISA is the European Union against agency for the cyber security, and as we see, the attack surface in cyber security continues to expand, and we are entering a new phase of the digital transformation. As we see, mainly we are struggling with the malware, but also ransomware remains widespread with cost of consequence to many organizations. And when we are talking about the cost, it's also good to see what World Economic Forum is saying about this. So not only the IT specialists see that the cybersecurity may have impact on the companies, but also following this report, we can see that the cybersecurity can have a huge impact on the global economy. We are talking not only about cybersecurity, but also other related to the IT threat, which can really impact the economic forum. So, global economic. So what we've done as a Sophos, so we started with the world best protection. I mean, the Intercept X is the product for anti-ransomware and the exploit protection product. It was the first. Secondly, as a second step, we've done the evolution. So what we've done, we added to our Intercept X product additional module, especially for the IT security analysts and IT administrators, and it was the EDR product. And in the end, we created the additional service. It's the service where we, in behalf of the customer, can make the detection, and of course, in the end, take response. If you are thinking and wondering which solution is best for you, so when we are talking only about the protection, you can consider Intercept X. But if you would like to have the detection and response, so now, if you would like to do it by your own hand, by yourself, you should consider the EDR product, because through the console, you can actively hunt inside the organization searching the threats. But if you would like that someone will do it for you, so we are talking about the outsourcing, then the MTR service is the best solution for you, because our engineers can hunt across your organization, across your computers, across your servers, and verify if you are under the attack. But the last point, if you do not have the software solution in your environment and you are under attack, then we have the dedicated team, the rapid response, and they can reply to any threats inside your organization. They can stop the threats and then switch you directly to the MTR service for the additional protection verification. And this quote from Gardner Guide for how to plan, design, and operate the security operation, and what's important, and I have to highlight the critical role in the IT organization people play. So mainly we have to focus on the people inside all of the organization. So when we are talking and when we are see the threat chain, so from the beginning we have the starting point, so somehow they have to deliver the threat inside the organization, and in the end we have boom. So the crooks, they are using different techniques and different methods to gain access to the organization, and then they are using the different privileges escalation and network penetrating, they are deleting the backups, and in the end they are raising the encryption, they are installing the ransomware, and probably in the end they will ask for additional payment. So what we have to do at the beginning as a must when we are talking about any protection from the endpoint and from the server side, we have to respond to all of the threats which we have inside, to avoid that the threat will be available to gain access to the organization. We have to deploy the protection against active attacks. So of course, we are talking about the thief identity, we are talking about the registry verification, we are talking about the lateral threat prevention, code cave, and so on and so on. So first of all, we have to implement the right solution. And in the end, what we can do using this solution, we can deploy the EDR function. So it means that the administrators will be able to hunt across the organization, across the across all of the branches, offices, and hunt for the threats. And of course, what we can do, we can put the active monitoring using the security operations center. But what we have to consider when we are talking about the operation center, the majority of the organization are struggling with the lack of people and the lack of the knowledge of the people. When we are talking about the typical SOC, we have to consider that from the customer perspective, we need at least 3 shifts, 2 people for each single shift, and also we need additional at least 1 or 2 seats that if there are people are sick or during the holidays. So we are talking about the huge costs. First, the people, secondly, knowledge, and thirdly, we are talking also about additional software. So not all of the customers can afford to have the security operation center in place. So maybe it's worth to consider the outsourcing. So when we are talking about the outsourcing, of course, we have to evaluate and we have to consider how to start, which managed detection and response provider is the best for us. And as a Sophos, we are using the different naming, we are using the managed threat response. But when we are talking about the evaluation, how to choose appropriate MDR solution, and from my experience, I'm in IT more than 12 years, I can tell you that mainly we are thinking about 12 most important question which we have to ask. Firstly, how many customers does the MTR service have? Why? Because based on this, based on the counting of the customers, we will have idea how many other organization, other customers can rely on this service provider. Secondly, what is the scope of the service? Is threat responsible also included? And it's a very good point because most of the vendors focus only on the threat identification, leaving response and remediation to the customer hands. And when we are talking about the effectiveness, then the MDR provider has to also provide the response for any threat inside the organization. And when we are talking about the response, of course, there is another question about the monitoring of the environment and the question if the provider is able to respond to any threat. Doesn't matter if we are talking about the business hours, we are talking about holidays, we are talking about some weeks and so on and so. So very important how they are operating. And of course, about the technology and about the price. And this is also important because the technology which is used should belongs to the MDR provider. We shouldn't put the cost on the customer. So he shouldn't buy any additional product just to have MDR in place in his environment. And of course, if the service being provided proactively or the reactively, so the MDR is mainly the proactive discipline, and we have to ensure that they are able to provide forensic and incident response service. And of course, they have to be able to deal with all of the crises which we have in the customer environments. Again, how will we interact with the MDR team? So the question is, if the customer has any contact, direct email, direct call support, can communicate with the MDR providers, depends on the day, depends on hours, and if they can do it immediately or they will have to wait in the queue. They have to notify, they have to send the notification about some incident in the organization and wait for the response, and so on and so on. So mainly we are talking about the timing, and of course not only the timing but also the methodology. The methodology is very important, because they should define the methodology. Why? Because if the customer's portfolio is growing, if they do not have the correct methodology, somehow we can face with the situation that they will miss some important identification of suspicious activity directly in the customer environment. So it's very important, because when we are talking about this MDR service, as a Sophos, we see that there is a huge demand on the market. A lot of companies, they are asking to outsource their security solution, to outsource their environment, that they can deal with other hardwares, other software which they have in environment, and somehow to free their resources. So the question also is, how fast is the service? And yeah, in IT security, seconds matter. So the MTR providers should be able to estimate the average time to detect. If you are the customer and you are talking with the MDR providers, they should strictly tell you, they should strictly uh, tell you, show you how fast they are able to respond and resolve all of the problems. So you should have the full information about the timing of all of the reactions. What type of the remediation action can MDR operation take, and if and can they take active response for you? It's also very important, because you have to know if they are able to detect the suspicious activities, because many MDR providers, they have only the monitoring and notification. So what they will do, if they will realize that you are struggling with the incident in your organization, they will just send you notification. The question is, what happens if they will send you this notification when you are on holidays, when you are on the sickness leave? So it's also important that they should be able to take the action. And what's important, at the beginning, you should be able to talk with them and decide which action they should take depends on the incident inside the organization. Of course, the question is how the threat hunting is lead driven or leadless, or both. Yeah. So some vendors refer to automated alert generation and threat hunting, and we have to check if they are able to proactively hunt inside the organization. Because if we rely only on the software, if we rely only on the automatization, as you remember from the Gartner, mainly we should rely on the people. So also the people should have the very huge impact on the MDR providers. So mainly people, of course, also the software. And regarding the data and visibility, how the question is, if they are able to collect the data only from the endpoint, or also they are able to collect the data from the other sources like the firewalls, like the mobile devices, switches, and any other equipment. Because sometimes only based on the correlation of the events between all of the hardwares, all of the softwares, we can verify if you are struggling with crooks inside the organization. And in the end, of course, does the MDR provider have access to the threat intelligence and threat researchers? So also it's very important that they should have access to laboratories, and they should have this collaboration. So they should be responsible not only for the threat verification, but also they should have a huge database which is standing behind of them. And as a force, I believe that we are able to address all of the questions, and we are able to address all of those 12 points using our managed threat response. And when we are talking about the managed threat response, we rely on the two layers. First layer, it's about the software which is installed directly on the endpoint. So as I said at the beginning, we started from the Intercept X as the most advanced threat detection solution. So we are using this solution for the threat verification, but also we are using the real human, which are responsible for the verification, which are responsible for the active hunting, also verification, the events, not only from the endpoints, but also from the systems, also from the servers, also from the other devices which are inside the network. And based on the correlation, we are able to verify if some hidden threat is inside the network, and we are able, based on the information or the previous agreement with the customer, take additional action. So really, what do we see? So first of all, regarding the details, we have the detection which we can observe on the endpoint side. We have all of the information related to the endpoint, and also if the detection was seen on the other endpoints. And what's more important, we can see also the exact details and all of the information which was executed, and it allows us for the further investigation. So we have all of the information regarding the PID, we have information regarding the parent processes, and all of the relevant hashes. And we can use this information. Why? Because a single detection is sometimes the single detection cannot provide us enough intelligence information. So we have to review additional detection if we have detection on the other computers, if we see the suspicious activity on the other computers. And of course, based on this, we can correlate the information, we can correlate the logs, and respond in time frame which were agreed with the customer. And what's very important, you as a customer, you can take decision about the control, about escalation and response action, which we can take in behalf of you inside your organization. So first of all, we are taking care about the organization, but secondly, of course, as a customer, in the end of each single month, you will receive the NTR activity reports. You will have all of the information regarding the threats, regarding the action which we've taken, and all of the escalation, all of the behavior. Mainly we are talking about the behavior inside the environment. And about the service, of course, the service is very important, because here we have the moment where you can decide how we will deal with the threats inside the organization. So when we are talking about the standard MTR option, of course, 24/7, 7 days per week, 30, 65 or 6 days per each single year, we are able to identify the attacks, where you will have the activity reports and so on and so on. But when we are talking about the advanced service, inside the advanced service also we have the we have all of the features from the MTR standard, but also what you have as a customer, you have dedicated contact person. Also, you have the information to whom you can contact if this person is not available. Yeah. For example, he is on the sick leave. Of course, you have the direct phone to the support. You can reach them also 24/7. You have the optimize. We are able also to optimize your environment and proactively, and also it's our job, proactively improve your security inside your organization. So this is how the MTR service looks. But I also mentioned that not only the MTR service, because the MTR service is the approach that we will hunt inside your organization to detect any suspicious activity, detect any threat. But also, if you are under attack, as I said, if you are under attack, every seconds matter. So also we have the dedicated team for the rapid response. The rapid response team, mainly we have the specialists, and they are responsible for the neutralizing all of the activities, the threat activities inside the organization in the incident moment. And yeah, what we will do in the end, when the rapid response team will do what they had to do, immediately we will transfer all of the customers for the 45 days subscription for the MTR team. I've seen some notification in the application which we are using, but I'm sorry, I'm the Polish guy. I cannot read it, but it's the last slide. So towards to the summary, when we are talking about the key differentiators, we just not only monitor, but also we not only monitor and notify the customer, but also we are taking the action. So we remotely initiate the action to disrupt and neutralize all of the threats inside the organization. We have, I believe, the best protection, and thanks this best protection, also we have more proactive protection, because our engineers, they can spend more time for catch the undetected threats. Of course, we have the automated response. So in behalf of the customer, we will take all of the action. We have the human response. So we rely not only on the technology. Of course, the technology is on the first place. But second, very important thing are human. So also we rely on the human, because they can catch more than the standard artificial intelligence engine. And of course, it depends only on you, how our people will work with you, how our people will work with the customers. So the customers has the full control. So I had 15 minutes. I believe I did it. I've done it. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your interest. It was my last slide, I believe, from the presentation. And the question is, let's say the one more thing from my side. If you have any questions, any doubts, if you would like to know more regarding this topic, please don't hesitate to contact the Sophos specialist, contact our partners in the region, and contact our distributor, the NSS company. So thank you very much.